Daf Tzadi Hey Amud Beis will begin Tzadi Hey Amud Aleph at the bottom of the Amud, the new parak. Parak HaMeitzi Tefillin. Zog the Mishnah HaMeitzi Tefillin. If someone finds Tefillin, he finds Tefillin in an area where he's not allowed to carry. Now, as a general background, Tefillin, if a person wears Tefillin on Shabbos, there's a machlokes if Shabbos man Tefillin or Shabbos is lav zman Tefillin. So we'll see, the Gemara will discuss this machlokes in detail. But regardless, whether you hold that Shabbos is man tefillin or lav zman tefillin, if a person wears tefillin in Rishus Harabim, he's not chayiv. Because if it's man tefillin, so therefore that's considered to be it's considered to be doing the mitzvah. He's not considered to be carrying. He's wearing the tefillin, and he's wearing and not carrying. It's derech malbush. But even if Shabbos is lav zman tefillin, even if it's not a zman of tefillin, you're not kind of the mitzvah of it, but it's still considered to be a derech of a tachshit, of an ornament. And therefore, he's not chai regardless. It's not considered carrying, it's considered wearing them. Midrabanan, it is also in Rishus Harabim to wear tefillin. It's also midrabanan to wear it regardless. It's also. So now if a person finds tefillin, the issue in the Mishnah we're discussing is he finds tefillin, it's lying in an area, so it's a derech bizoyan. This isser of wearing tefillin, the Rabbanan relaxed it because of the bizoyan of the tefillin. They were therefore said it's mutter, and there's even, as we'll see in the Ritva, holds the ways that it's a chiyuv. It's a chiyuv to wear the tefillin, to bring them out from a makom of bizayin, that they be chas v'shalom disgraced. So therefore, Amoitzi Tefillin someone who finds tefillin in a place where you're not allowed to carry, maknisan zug zug. He wears them into the house pair by pair. He puts on the tefillin shel rosh, puts on the tefillin shel yad. He then comes back. He comes to a safe place, and he there removes them, and then he goes back and wears another pair. Rabbi Gamliel says, no, it's even more than pair by pair. You can even put two tefillin shel rosh and two tefillin shel yad at a time. You can wear two at a time and bring him in that way. B'med dvarim amurim, when is this said by Yeshanas? That's by old tefillin. So therefore, as we said, therefore they relax the isser of wearing the tefillin in a Rishus Harabim. Aval bechadosha is potter. But if they're new ones, well, we're not even sure that they're tefillin, because in those days they used to make kameyas, they used to make amulets like tefillin. If they're new ones, then it's potter. Taisa says it's not only potter, it says it's even awesome. And the Ritva says, it says a lashon of potter, meaning, as we just mentioned, that as opposed to where they're old ones, when you know they're tefillin, you have a chiyuv to bring it in, you have a chiyuv to wear it and bring it in. Over here, there's no chiyuv, and Mamela, therefore it's awesome. Matzoni found the tefillin, tzevasim, in pairs, or krichais, or in bundles, so he found a large number of them, and therefore it's not practical to wear them and bring them back and forth. Then what he does is machshech aleim, he just stays with them, guarding them, protecting them, until after Shabbos, and then he brings them, after Shabbos. So if there's too many of them to wear them in this manner, so he just guards them until after Shabbos, and then he brings it in. Ubesakana, however, in the time of sakana, where he can't guard them, when the time of sakana, when the Nachrim, the governments, made decrees against Shmiras HaMitzvahs, so he'd be in danger for doing this, then Mechasan, what he does is he covers them, and he leaves them over there. Rabbi Shimon says, a way to transfer. Now we'll see in the Gemara what case Rabbi Shimon is referring to. In what case does he say that you do this? But he says there's another way, there's another manner of bringing in the tefillin. He says you make a human chain. It says you transport it by passing it from one to another. You make a chain, and you pass it from one person to the other, so nobody is carrying a daled amas. Each one is just passing it to the other, until you get the first chatzar in the city. And then you can bring it into the city in this manner. The Gan Yaakov points out that you can't bring it in from the outside to to the inside. You can't bring it in and then put it down, because you'd be transferring from the Rishus HaRabim, where the Carmel is, into the Rishus HaYachid. What it means is you bring it in, you extend your hand in, and have someone else from inside the city take it from your hand. You don't put it down. So you're not doing achnos, you're not being machnes it, and there's somebody, you're only doing part of it, you're only doing the akira, but not the hanacha. And in that way, Rav Shimon says you can make a human chain, and that's how you can transport these items. Again, we'll see in the Gemara what cases under what circumstances does he say you do this. V'chein b'nai, and so too, there was a child that was born in the field, and you want to transport it into the house. Nice l'chavera, v'chaver l'chaveroi, afilu mea, even if there is 100, even 100 people in the chain. The Gemara, we'll see in the Gemara why dafka in this case does he say 100 people. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda says a person can bring a barrel, takes a barrel and give it to his friend, even if it's outside the tchum. So Rabbi Yehuda says in a similar way, you can make this chain, and you can pass a barrel, from one to the other, and even if you are now passing it outside the tchum, even if it's outside the tchum where the owner of the barrel where his tchum is, and he'd be restricted from going there, nevertheless, you can pass the barrel from one to the other, even if it's outside the owner's tchum. So most Rishonim learn that Rabbi Yehuda is an extension of Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says you can make this chain, but he says it's only if it's for a dvar mitzvah. It's for a tefillin, it's for a tinnik, for a dvar mitzvah. And Rabbi Yehuda is extending this heter even for a dvar rishus, even for a barrel. That's the way most Rishonim learn it, and the Ramban and the Rambam, etc. derive it. But Rabbeinu Yonasan says no, that he does not learn it that way. He says also agrees that it has to be dvar mitzvah. The barrel we're talking about is talking about where it's used for a mitzvah, where it's needed for a chayla or whatever the case may be. But it is a dvar mitzvah, and therefore he says he is not extending Rosh Shimon's din. The chiddush of Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbeinu Yonasan, is that even if it's outside the tchum, even if you're taking it outside the tchum. Now we'll see in the Gemara why, in fact, he is mater. Why is he mater bringing the barrel outside the tchum of the owner? But Amr Loi, the Chum said to him, Rabbi Yehuda, no, it's not mutter in this case. You cannot bring the barrel beyond the area where the owner can go. If it's beyond the tchum of the owner, you can't bring the barrel outside that area either. So we'll see in the Gemara. Gemara will discuss this in greater detail. Continue on, Zok the Gemara. Zug echad in. The Mishnah says, the Reish the Mishnah said that you can bring in, the Tanakama said, one pair. Not two. Zug echadin tveiloi, but not more. Tanan stam and the like Rab Meir. Let's say that this stam is not like Rab Meir. Now, even though normally we say stam mishak Rab Meir, but let's say that this stam is not Rab Meir, because the Rab Meir, we see Rab Meir elsewhere says, Ha'omar, he said regarding a place where Chas v'Shalom there's a fire on Shabbos. Then it says, Loivesh, Ha'amar, Loivesh kol mashi yochel lilbush. In order to save what you want from the fire, you can wear as many articles of clothing as you want, as you can. V'oitev kol mashi yochel lotev, and things that you normally wrap yourselves in, like scarves, towels, etc. You can wrap yourself with as many as you can. Disnan ulisham, to the adjacent chotzer, it says, to there, mitzvah kol clay tashmishay. You can bring all of your articles that you want to use. And wear anything that you want to wear. And wrap yourself with anything that you can. So to there you can bring in all of the kelim that you need for that Shabbos. You can bring all the kelim that you need for that Shabbos. Wear as many clothing as you want, and be oitiv with as many articles of clothing as you want. So we don't have a limitation. How do we know that this is Tam's Rab Meir? Allah, because it says the Baraisa says on that in the words of Rab Meir that he wears it. Then he brings it to the adjacent chotzer, he removes it, goes back, wears other articles of clothing, I feel calling Kola. I feel the whole day, even the entire day. He can go back, wear whatever he wants, bring it to the adjacent chotzer, remove it, go back, and keep putting on other clothes and going back and forth. This is what Reb Meir says. So you see clearly that stam is like Reb Meir, and we're not limited to the number of items. And here we're saying that it's a stam, and we're saying that it's only one pair of tefillin and not more. So let us say that it seems to be a steer in the stam, even though we normally say stam Mishnah Reb Meir, but this stam cannot go like Reb Meir. Rava says no. Afilu teim Reb Meir. You can say that it is going like Reb Meir. They're both Reb Meir. They're both stam Mishnah like Reb Meir. Some derech malbusha kechol shal rabbanan. Over there, he's wearing a derech malbush, and the same way that he would do it in the weekday. So the Rabbanan said he can do it on Shabbos. They said derech malbush kichol shal rabbanan, that he can wear it in the same way as he does it during the weekday. V'hacha derech malbush kichol shal rabbanan. Here also similarly derech malbush kichol shal rabbanan. Hosam over there the b'chol kama the boy lovish. Over there, when a person wears, sometimes he wears many articles of clothing if he's very cold. Sometimes he puts on more than one article of clothing. He puts a sweater and a jacket and a coat, etc. So So for the purposes of atzola, that to save it from the fire, they Rabbanan were matir, and they say, well, since there are some times that in the weekday kachol, that's how you dress and that's how you wear it, it's permissible on Shabbos under these circumstances. But over here, that by tefillin, that even during the weekday, it's one pair that you wear, not more than that. It's also one pair that is permitted and not more. It's essentially the same idea. It's Reb Meir in both cases. In both cases, we allow either for the hatzola, for the financial loss, or for the tefillin, to wear it in a manner that it's worn in the chol. Clothing, sometimes you wear many articles of clothing, so therefore for the hatzola, they allowed many articles of clothing. For tefillin, you only wear one. So therefore, you only wear one. On Shabbos, you can also only wear one. The way Rashi learns, now there's a machlekes rishonim between Rashi on one side and between the Rashba and the Ritva on the other side. Rashi says, we are going over here that Shabbos is man tefillin. And if Shabbos is man tefillin, you mekayim the mitzvah with it. Now, as opposed to what we learned previously on the previous Amud, in the name of Rabbeinu Yonasan, that if you hold Shabbos as man tefillin, nevertheless it's also to wear them in the Rishus HaRabim on Shabbos, even if Shabbos is man tefillin. Rashi over here says that the Tanna Kama holds that Shabbos is man tefillin, and therefore you're allowed to wear it on Shabbos the way you wear it in Chol. So over here you allow on the Chol to now, and you wear one pair of tefillin, and on Shabbos also you wear one pair of tefillin, and that's the mitzvah of tefillin, and it's mutter. The other Rishonim learn not like Rashi, and they say no, it's even if Shabbos is lavzman tefillin. It's not, the point over here is that we are matir it not because of the mitzvah, we're matir it because even if Shabbos lavzman tefillin, but it is considered derech malbush. So you wear one pair of tefillin. Now, even though normally it would be also midrabanan to wear a pair of tefillin, even though it's derech malbush, but even though normally it would also midrabanan to wear tefillin in Rishus HaRabim or in a place that you can't carry, in a Carmelis as well, it would be also midrabanan. Here, they were matir it because of the covet of the tefillin, they made a hat. But to what extent are they matred? Their matred has to be derech malbush, and in the chol during the weekday you wear one pair of tefillin. So therefore, you're only matir wearing one pair of tefillin. Now, even if Shabbos is lavzman tefillin, and therefore you don't wear tefillin, and it's also to wear tefillin, but that's midrabanan. And however, they were matred mishum the hatzola for the tefillin, but only where it's a derech hamalbush, where you're not considered carrying it. And therefore, b'chol you wear one pair of tefillin. Under these circumstances, we're only mater one pair of tefillin. The Gemara continues, the Gemara Vaita, Rabbi Gamliel Oimer, Shnaim Shnaim. Rabbi Gamliel says you can even take 2 pairs at a time. So, the Gemara Micah Savar, what does he hold? Ika Savar Shabbos on Tefillin, who, if he holds that Shabbos is man at Tefillin, Yemekayim the mitzvah Tefillin even on Shabbos, then Zugeh Chadin Tefilloi, and then you should only be allowed to carry 1 pair and not 2. The mitzvah is 1, so therefore, if you're being Mekayim the mitzvah with it, then you should only do it 1 pair, not 2. And because Shabbos loves man tefillin, who, and if he holds that Shabbos is loves man tefillin, umishumat sola, and the reason that you're allowed to carry it is not because of the mitzvah, it's because the Rabban were makel, they made a special kula, and they said mishumat sola, because to save the tefillin, we're makel here, and we're mater it, then derech malbashor la Rabbana. And they allowed you to carry a derech malbush, not for the kiyum of the mitzvah. They allowed you just because it's considered a malbush, and therefore, that's why you can do it. So therefore, it's not totally on the kiyum of the mitzvah. Then if you'll say nami, then you should be allowed to take even more. If it's for the mitzvah, well, if you say it's mantfeh, that they didn't make a special kula. And if you say, therefore, it's tefillin, Shabbos is as mana tefillin, it's not a special kula. It's the kiyum of the mitzvah, so then you should only be allowed to take 1 pair and wear 1 pair because that's how you're mekayim the mitzvah. Now, if you say, no, Shabbos loves man tefillin, how did they allow you to wear the tefillin and bring it in? They made a special kula. Well, then if they made a special kula and they allowed you to wear them, even though you're not being mekayim the mitzvah, so it should be even more than 2 pair. The Gemara says, Shabbos loves man tefillin. No, really, they hold Shabbos loves man tefillin. It's not, you're not being mekayim the mitzvah, then it's a special kula they made over here. But v'chi shor rabbanan l'nyasola, that they were makel over here, but they were only makel. They weren't. You have to have it that it's not carrying. So they're only makel that derech malbush. So they were v'chi shor rabbanan. They were only makel over here, matel, so derech malbush. Only if you're doing it in the way that you normally would wear it. So b'malkam tefillin, it has to be b'malkam tefillin. It has to be in the place where you normally wear the tefillin, and therefore you can't have more than 2. It has to be a derech malbush. Now, even though you're not mekayim the mitzvah, because Shabbos loves man tefillin, but it has to be a derech malbush in the way you normally wear it when you're wearing it to be mekayim the mitzvah. So then it should only be 1 pair and not more than 2 pair, because you wear tefillin 1 pair at a time. The Gemara answers, there's place on the head to put on 2 pairs of tefillin. You have a place over there for to wear 2 tefillin. Therefore, if you're not becoming the mitzvah, but you can still wear it as a tachshit, it can still be worn as an ornament, as long as you're putting it being worn in the place where tefillin can be worn. So therefore, if there's a place to put on 2 tefillin, as long as it's being put in, that's being worn in that place, then it's considered to be a tachshit, and therefore it's not carrying, and it's derech malbush. So hanich the rosh, that's fine if you explain it, call it on tefillin shel rosh, that there's a malkam to put on 2 tefillin shel rosh on the head, but the yad ma'ikal, remember, what are you going to say about the tefillin shel yad? More answers to Rav Huna. It's going according to Rav Huna. Rav Huna, Pam Sharam Pam Minasadeh, B'chavilas. Sometimes a person is coming from the field. In those days, they used to wear tefillin all the time. So sometimes he's coming from the field, and he has his bundle on his head, and he carries it by putting it on his head. So it's not covered to have a bundle and a chavila on top of his tefillin, so he removes the tefillin shel rosh, he puts it on his arm, and therefore he's wearing 2 tefillin on his arm. So you see that he does sometimes wear 2 tefillin on his arm. No, that's not a taksha that way. He only does it in those circumstances, so there shouldn't be a bezoyan for his tefillin that has a bundle on it. So in those circumstances, he puts it on his arm. But Roy Miyomar, it's not fit to that. Here we're saying that it's considered to be a tachshit. It's an ornament. It doesn't mean that if he removes it from his head and puts it on his arm so that it shouldn't be bezoined for it, that means that it's roy for his arm. It doesn't make it fit for his arm. It doesn't make it a tachshit. And the Gemara says, Kedamar Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak Makam Yesh Barosh Haroy Lanich V'Shtei Tefillin. There's a place that put on two tefillin shel rosh hachanami makam yesh biyad sheroy lanich v'shtei tefillin. Similarly, on the yad, there's also a place for two tefillin, meaning there's place for both. So it's considered to be a tachshit with two on both, and therefore he holds Rabbi Gamliel that you can bring two at a time because it's a tachshit. Really, we're going that Shabbos loves man tefillin. It's not the zman of tefillin. It's not totally in the kiyum of the mitzvah, but the Rabbanan were mekel, and because of to save the tefillin, but they're only mekel to allow you to do it if it's considered to be a tachshit, if it's going to be an ornament. Now, if he holds that there's place for two pair, both on the head and the arm, and therefore it's a place that's roy for tefillin, and therefore you can take two pairs at a time because that's considered a tachshit. You're not mekayim the mitzvah, but it's not considered carrying either minatayra. It's not considered carrying. And the Rabban were mekel the Yisr on the Yisr, the Rabbanan, since you're carrying b'derech tachshit, but you can't carry more than two. As a side halach, we're discussing tefillin. The Gemara says, Tana debei menashe, al yadcha zu kiboris. You have to put the tefillin shel yad on your arm. Where is that? That's the kiboris. That's on the bicep, the muscle, the high part of the arm. Beinei necha zu kadkad. That refers, between your eyes, that refers to the kadkad, to the head. Hecha, where on the head is that? Amr debei Rav Yanai, makam shemecha shel tinech reifis, the place where the baby is, his skull is soft. And so that's between your eyes on the upper part of the skull, where a newborn baby, a young baby, where it's soft over there, that's where you put the tefillin shel rosh. Then we'll continue about this discussion of the Rabbi Gamliel and the tefillin. Shabbos is man tefillin, Shabbos loves man tefillin.